Save the Semantics episode 68. It is April 6, 2019. My name is Myro, and this is the podcast where I talk to myself about things that I found somewhat interesting, very mildly interesting. That's what the podcast is about. Welcome. Hope everyone has had a good week. I'm very slow to think of things to say right now. Maybe right now wasn't the best time to start recording. I can pause and start over anytime I want, but I'm just gonna keep going. Just one take. That's just the way I like it. That's why I would be terrible doing this well, actually I don't know. I was gonna say that I would be terrible at doing this on TV or whatever, on camera, but with camera, you can edit it and whatnot, and I can also edit audio too, but I just choose not to because I feel like it would be disingenuous. So sometimes I'll just pause and I'll start back up again talking about whatever bullshit I was already talking about. That's just how it goes sometimes. Anyways, already in the month of April of 2019, that's pretty wild, right? 420 is coming up soon. I don't know why I mentioned that. That was just sort of the first thing that came to mind. What is it, a couple weeks from now? Doesn't really matter. Easter too, right? Easter is also coming up. Earth Day. Some things going on in April. I don't know why I'm mentioning all these dates. Spring equinox. I forgot exactly what spring equinox is. We already had daylight savings, which is when you turn the clock back by an hour, and people are just tired. And every year there's an article that comes out that says, will daylight savings times be removed, or will no longer be used? And that hasn't changed, just because it's just been the norm. Just that there's no real reason to change because everyone else is doing it. I'm just waiting until California, or the U.S., probably just California, to be honest, decides to put it as a federal law that daylight savings is no longer a reasonable way to fix time due to changes in the season or whatever, just because it doesn't really make sense. Because if we didn't use daylight savings or whatever, what's the other one? Fall? Is it in the fall? The other one. There's two of them. But if we decided not to use those two, right now it would be 3 o'clock, right? And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really matter now. I've just already gotten used to it to a point where it just, I don't even think about it, but I just thought about it right now, so that's why I decided to talk about it. What did I want to talk about? Started out my final term of this third year just this week. Solid start, as always. I always have a pretty good start when it comes to school and whatnot. I have a decent agenda when it comes to setting out on my goals and and in terms of what I need to do to get through the week and whatnot. It's been solid start to the week. Just last week though, I watched Us, Jordan Peele's new movie. And it was pretty good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think I'll definitely have to give it another watch just so I can give more thoughts on it, just to have a more of a clear idea of what the movie is fully about. I've read some Reddit threads and some online forums about the film, so that's given me a little bit more insight as to what the film is symbolizing. I've maybe missed out on a couple of thematic elements maybe, but overall it was a pretty good film, pretty unique for the most part. Did I already mention that? I watched the movie? I feel like I have. I feel like I have. This is just starting to feel very familiar. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. The movie was good. But after I saw the movie, I decided to go online, just check out some reviews, see what other people had to say about that movie. And when that happens, you get a bunch of recommendations in your feed on YouTube of like interviews and stuff like that. So I was watching some interviews. There was one interview on Ellen that Lupita Nyong'o had. She was talking about just sort of trying to be in a particular headspace when making the film, because she had to essentially play two different characters, and so she sort of had to go into like a sort of a darker headspace or whatever, and she also talked about how she like went on like a retreat just to sort of get away from this her position of being like a celebrity and stuff like that. She was talking about how there was this one woman there at the retreat. She didn't mention where it was, just probably because for privacy reasons. But she mentioned how at the retreat there was this woman who recognized her, and she said that's exactly why I was trying to get away. What I was trying to get away from. I was trying to get away from this idea that I'm just so much more well known than anybody else and stuff like that. Just trying to escape the position of being a celebrity, essentially, right? And I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting. She also talked about just working with Jordan Peele and sort of the ideas that he brought to the table and whatnot. And so I scrolled down to the comments and I was reading some of them, and there were a few comments, very few comments that I noticed that were actually talking about what like she was talking about. They were commenting on how like her acting or whatever, but like the majority of the comments were like commenting on how good she looked, how like pretty her hair is. The majority of the comments are like women, because it's it's an interview on Ellen. They're talking about how good her hair and skin looked and like stuff like that, and it's like I get it, like she's very beautiful, but like it just I don't know, like that kind of contradicts like everything I feel that she was talking about in an interview, right? Like they just completely ignored all of that. They were just like, wow, she's so she's so pretty, she's so like confident and stuff like that, which I get. Like it's fine to admire that in a person, but it's like I don't know, like just saying that on a thread doesn't really add much to conversation. Adding that to the comment section, it just sort of like it just confirms like the fact that like she was talking about trying to get away from this, the Hollywood sensationalism of stardom and stuff like that. She was trying to get away from that. She like removed herself from she didn't remove herself, but she did like a social media cleanse or whatever, where she didn't use social media for like a week while she was on a retreat, just so she could get away from all that noise, right? And then just in this interview, you look at the comments and there's people that are like, wow, Lupita, you're so amazing. I just I don't know, like I get, it's fine, like I said, it's fine to admire someone for being this confident and upstanding person and whatnot, but it's like it just kind of like they were talking mostly about her like physical appearance. And they're saying like, well, I wish I had skin like that. I wish I had, I wish I had hair like that. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, of course. Everyone wants to look good. Like, not everyone has like a multi-million-dollar like skin and hair routine. It's just like that's something everyone kind of wants. You want to look good immediately after you roll out of bed. You don't have to like prepare and shit. But like, of course, it takes a lot of preparation to look like that. She's got to. She's got to appear on like television and shit. Of course, like if I were to appear on television, I'd want, I don't know, I probably wouldn't really give that much of a shit, but at least my hair gotta look a little good, right? It's gotta look somewhat presentable in a way, Maybe put a little bit of skin, put a little bit of makeup, so cover up some of the acne scars that I have, But anyways, like I just think, I don't know, it's just contradictory. What the comments are talking about is just like the irony is just kind of like it just goes over their head, It's just like it's exactly what she's trying to get away from. It's just like she doesn't want to be like worshipped as this far, fetched figure. She doesn't want to be seen as like just like an actress. She doesn't want to be seen as the Lupita Nyong'o, right? Who's famous in all these movies and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. Celebrity worship is just such a weird thing, and I've made my comments about it before, but I don't know. Like it's just it's a weird kind of thing, where it's very culty, it's very I don't know. It's not manipulative. That's not the right word. Manipulative is if the person who's being admired, like it manipulates their audience to like worship them or whatever. You know what I don't know. I don't think manipulative is the right word, but celebrity worship is like sort of this weird kind of culty kind of behavior, where people, stands, right? Like stands of like of like an artist and stuff like that. It's just I don't know. It's a weird kind of thing where people devote a lot of their attention, a lot of their admiration and whatnot to these people that they don't even have contact with. I don't know. It's just it's uncomfortable, I guess, right? And you can do that even more now because of social media. I talk about social media so much on this thing without even really having too much knowledge about it, but it's just it is what it is, right? It's true. Like if you have your Instagram and whatnot, you're like, oh, you get to see like a close-up face of your favorite celebrity and you feel more in touch with them or whatnot, I don't know. It's just a kind of like a weird it's a weird kind of thing, and it's been that way for a long time, and I understand why celebrities like hate people like paparazzi who are just flashing cameras and shit like that. I was at the barber, I think, and they left some magazines at the side for me to read while I was waiting and stuff, and there was like a People's magazine, and I was just kind of going through it just because I was curious, and I was like, ooh, this could be a good idea. Magazine garbage too? No. I don't know. Maybe eventually I'll do a magazine garbage too. I don't know. But I was just kind of going through it, and there's this one section that just like had me laughing, and I know this isn't like a new thing at all, but there's just like a section that's like, celebrities are just like us. They eat food, they work out, they buy their own makeup or something like that. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Do these people that make these magazines, do they think that their readers are just complete idiots? Obviously, right? But I just don't. The way they like set it up is just it's like these bright colors. This one page in particular, it was just bright colors and like, whoa, look at what's fucking, I can't think of a celebrity right now, but look at Liam Neeson or something, right? He works out just like us. Look at Hugh Jackman here. He's at the gym, and unbeknownst to him, the creepy paparazzi photographer is taking a picture of him working out and sweating, even though this is his own private time and he should be respected in that space and matter. But here we are, we're making money off of this bitch, right? It's like, I don't know. Paparazzis are so fucking, they're very, I don't know. It seems like they're very sociopathic kind of people. I don't know any of them, but it just seems that way, right? So like paparazzi in general are worse than like, I don't know if they're necessarily worse, but they're maybe they're on like the same level as the people who worship celebrities and stuff like that, who devote their life and their energy to focusing on someone else, trying to find them in the streets of LA, of Hollywood, and try to take a picture of them and whatnot, and then post it to a magazine for some desperate housewife to read, right? I don't know. It's just it's a weird culture, I think tabloids are very, I hopefully, like, I don't know. I think eventually the tabloid industry is gonna die out. That's my prediction for the day, or for in general. I think the tabloid industry is gonna die off, just because like once like once people stop going to the supermarket, I have sort of like a, what is it? I have like a story structure for this. It's people still buy tabloids just because they're at the supermarket. You know, they're waiting in line, and it's right there. It's right next to the gum and the candy and shit. So it's right there. And you know, you're bored and you just need to read and stuff like that. And out of all the people, you know, most people don't buy tabloids, but you know, like maybe there's one person who doesn't use the internet, and so they see like an older woman who doesn't really use Facebook all that much, even though she probably posts some shitty Facebook wine mom meme or whatever, and you know, she decides to pick it up because she's like, oh, I want to know what God, I can't think of anyone right now. Amy Adams. I wonder what Amy Adams is wearing this week, or who she's dating, or whatever. Is she married? It doesn't matter. What is Ben Affleck doing? What is Miley Cyrus up to these days? You know, it's just people being interested in people just for the sake of name brand or whatever, you know. So until supermarkets stop selling tabloids, I think it may be a little while before tabloids start to disappear. But here's the thing: what's going to happen is that supermarkets are going to be they're going to evolve, right? I've talked about this in a past podcast before, but Amazon and these other marketplaces, they're trying to develop these new types of supermarkets where you don't even have to go to checkout. You can just kind of walk out the door. So once they introduce that type of supermarket, that type of grocery market, then tabloids, they kind of cease to exist, right? Of course they can exist online, you know. They'll probably have some kind of Facebook or Twitter presence, just posting about shit. TMZ will be fine because I feel like they've just been in the industry for a long ass time, but just like specific tabloid magazines, like I bet those are going to go out of business in the future, just because once there's no need to go into once there's no need to go to like a physical checkout line, then you don't need to, you don't need to wait around, and like you don't have to just look at your phone and look around you. You see the magazine and you pick it up. Like there's just no need to do that anymore, right? So eventually that's my guess. That's probably what's going to happen. I could be completely wrong, but you know, most of the time I'm usually wrong, so I don't know. Or I think people are going to start, instead of going to the supermarket, they'll have someone deliver, groceries to them. That's already a thing, but maybe that might become more prevalent as time goes along. Maybe people just become busier somehow because they can't afford rent or something, so they just pay someone to... No, that doesn't make sense. But like they become too busy to be able to go out and shop for food, so they... this is more for like people who have expendable income, right? So they pay someone else to do the grocery shopping for them, or they order grocery shopping online, right? So that's always a thing. And then, tabloids are eventually going to disappear. And until then, there's going to be these paparazzis going about doing the thing, being kind of creepy and rude and sort of uninhibited in a way. I don't know. It's just kind of weird, right? It's a very like personal thing that I just don't understand. Speaking of weird stuff, I don't know how I was going to transition into my next topic, but on this podcast, I like to talk a lot about the dangers of social media and how it can be a threat to your children. And I do talk a lot about that, and I decided to seek out on Google if there were any other influencers, such as like myself, that are teaching people and educating people about the dangers of social media. And there's plenty of resources out there, so I'm not exactly alone in that sense. And I don't, a lot of the time I am joking in a way too about the extreme dangers of social media and stuff like that. And there's plenty of these idiots who don't have no idea what they're talking about, and that's including myself, about these resources. I just think, like, I say a lot of shit, but I think the main thing that I'm most concerned about when it comes to, like, social media, putting yourself out there, is just your privacy. That's like my biggest concern and stuff like that. Like, there's always going to be, there's always the fear of strangers online and stuff like that. Don't talk to strangers. That's always been a thing, right? And that, I feel like that kind of applies to, you know, your online presence as well. But I just think it's just privacy. You don't give out any too much significant information about yourself to a point where someone can take advantage of you, and ruin you financially. That's my biggest concern, right? Of course, there's like a physical threat of someone, abducting you or whatever, right? Taking advantage of you and stuff like that. But my biggest thing that I feel like is the most reasonable thing to be, like, cautious or afraid of is just your own privacy. So that's just my thing, But like I said, like, there's plenty of these resources that educate parents about what they should do how they should monitor their kids and whatnot. I think there's just so many apps and social, like, websites and stuff like that. So I get it. You just need kind of like a comprehensive list. So if you are a parent, I don't know what parent is listening to this. I don't even know what my demographic is. I just don't know how to check that. But if you are a parent and you are listening to this, maybe stop listening to this and then just look up top 10 most dangerous social media websites or something like that, and you'll get plenty of responses, and you'll be more educated than you were 5 minutes ago, I guess. I don't know what my message is. I don't really get what my platform is either. Is this like a political thing? Not really, no. It was just more like a friendly reminder that the internet can be a dangerous place, I remember, like, there's this one website that sort of came to mind when I was kind of doing a little bit of research, very little research, and research is a very loose word to be used here, but I watched internet comment etiquette's Eric's internet comment etiquette's video way back, where he made this video about a website called YouNow. That was the first time I heard about the website, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Basically, the idea of YouNow is that you can just stream yourself online. It's kind of like Twitch, but Twitch has the element where it has like a gaming element to it. YouNow is much more like, it's just kind of yourself. It's just you. Your face is the center of attention in that case, and you can have conversations with other people and stuff like that. I just thought it was kind of interesting. That kind of came to mind when I was just thinking of, like, dangerous social media websites. I don't necessarily think it's all that dangerous in a sense, like, if you could have multiple privacy protection layers and stuff like that, but I noticed that I went back to the website recently just to check it out, because I was kind of curious to see if it was even still up, right? Because I know there's other platforms that essentially do the same thing. And if you go to, like, just like some random ass person's video, right? They, like, I think they give their, like, username and, like, their location, which I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's, like, a very, at least I think it gave their location, which I was kind of like, I don't know. It's a little weird, I guess, right? There's probably ways you can, like, disclose, is it undisclosed, or just close off that information, so people don't see it. I feel like that's a smart thing to do, right? Because essentially all you need is, like, you either need, like, a Google account, so, like, a, whatever, email account, Facebook account, or, I forgot what the other one was. I think it was Twitter or Instagram or whatever it was. That's all you really need to use that website. So you can just kind of meander through it and see a bunch of total strangers on there, which is, I don't know. I feel like it's really not that weird. I just think that like I'm more behind on like these types of like websites and stuff like that, because I've, you know, when I watch like videos on YouTube or like other podcasts and stuff like that, they sometimes, you know, the hosts or whatever, they always talk about these other websites. I'm like, I haven't heard of like half of these. Like I've never, you know, YouNow is like the one exception of like kind of like a niche sort of website that not that many people know of, right? And then there's just all these other websites that I haven't even heard of that kind of do the same thing. There's this other one called Periscope, which is essentially the same thing. You can stream yourself, just doing whatever, right? So I don't know. It's just I just feel strangely behind when it comes to that kind of thing. You know, I don't know. It's very interesting though how there's all these different platforms where you can sort of just showcase yourself to complete strangers, right? It's not really it's not like the basic, you know, type of apps or platforms like Facebook or Instagram, because those are like those are much more, you can kind of control who's viewing your profile and stuff like that. You know, you can do like a private thing, but like with those other websites, the streaming websites that I mentioned, like you can just kind of show yourself without really too much. I haven't used it myself, so I don't really have too much knowledge or experience using it, but I'm assuming it's like you can just kind of, there's really no filter between who's watching and what you're doing, right? And the last time I watched the internet comment etiquettes video of YouNow, like he just kind of went on all these like random ass strangers who had barely any viewers, like maybe like 10 viewers or whatever, you know, just checking out his stuff. I don't know. It's an interesting thing, and just being able to just show yourself to the world, right? With as many viewers as possible. This is kind of funny. I'm seeing this duck. Just kind of, there's like a river stream that I'm like recording right next to, and like this duck is just kind of floating on by, and off it goes. It's kind of cute. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the point of this whole thing was. There was no real point. Maybe I'm just letting you know of these other websites that are out there. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that's probably, what are we at? It's 4:20 right now. That's kind of cool. Anyways, that's probably going to do it for the episode today. Ooh, I kind of wanted to do something interesting, actually. Not interesting. I got to stop using the word interesting because it's such a generic word, but I kind of wanted to do something new, is where at the end of the episode, I'll, like, I'm trying to be more, trying to listen to more music as much as I can, just because I drive around a little bit more, I guess. So I've been listening. I wanted to like recommend kind of new or, you know, unknown artists. So I'd say the one I've been listening to some Americana and like alternative music, and there's this one song by Bill Callahan, who's he's been doing music for quite a while now, and he has a song called Drover. And I initially found out about that song on the Netflix series Wild Wild Country, and essentially he has a lyric where he goes like "Wild Wild Country," and that's sort of, I think that's how they base the name of their the show. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So if you want like an Americana country type of tune, it's hard to describe the type of song. It's like kind of it's slow. I don't know how to review music. But if you're into like kind of like slower country with like a focus on like guitar and like acoustics and whatnot, I'd recommend checking it out. Bill Callahan, and the song name is Drover. And I guess I'll just try to do this as sort of like a new edition every episode. Maybe I just have a song recommendation. You guys want to check out something new, interesting, maybe. And I'll try to keep this up going for the following episodes. That's going to do it for today. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.